Sup guys, Xander977 here today to do Akame got killed episode 7 review. Now this episode of Akame got killed for me was a very interesting episode, right? We see the introduction of three new characters which happens to be SZ servants, right? This big axe wielding guy, this kind of dude who looks like a kid who plays a flute, which is revealed is actually his own imperial arms, and another dude with gray hair and a mustache. That dude that we haven't seen his weapon as of yet, but he just slashes his hand and people get cut up into bits. So I start off with a summary and then go in depth into this whole anime review. Now, initially, right at the beginning of this episode, picking up where we left off last week with Shayla's death, we see the members of the night raid, right? Actually, we see Mine having her breakfast with Akame, trying to help her, picking up the pieces, so to speak, and we see Tatsumi commenting at that point about how Akame behaves so cool even though Shelly just died. And then later on in the night, when it's too cold for Tatsumi to sleep, he comes out walking around and he sees Akame bringing food, which turns out that she's offering food at the graveside for Shelly, offering food for the dead, because I guess that's a custom for Japan. In Japanese people, that's part of what they do. So she's bringing food for the deceased. She runs into the Tatsumi, and Tatsumi is telling her about how he realizes that she's so calm, but then she shows him that she's actually not calm. In fact, she's actually trying to cover her emotions because this is not the right time or place to express herself, which I believe is a load of crap. But hey, that's her reason. So she's trying to cover her emotions, right, instead of experiencing them naturally as what should happen. And then we see Tatsumi even punch himself in the face, trying to cover his emotions as well, because oh no, he won't go down that road, because you're not supposed to have emotions. You're supposed to be this zombieless being, so with no emotions, and life is better that way. So okay, I'm trolling. So on that note, that was that incident. Then the next morning we see Tatsumi and Akame training, and Tatsumi is going at it with more oomph, more urge. That Balut even notices it himself, and he's basically exclaiming that he realizes that Tatsumi has a lot of energy this time. So he questions him like, what is going on? And Tatsumi says he wants to get stronger. Well, there was another scene where we see, right, Esdeath returns to the capital, and upon Esdeath returning to the capital, right, the king says he's going to gift her an X amount of gold. I forgot, but seems like a good amount of gold and whatever. Then we see the narration by the minister himself, basically saying that Esdeath's real interest only lies in in warfare, in killing people, in fighting in that way, while for him, his interests lie in politics and those endeavors. So it's basically saying that it's a win-win situation for him. He get rid of Night Raid, he secure his position where he wants to be, the prime minister, eating and being comfy and all of that, while having her indulge in what she likes as well, by killing people and all of this stuff. But then the emperor, the kid emperor, actually asks her, what is it? Do you want anything else? Whatever you want, you will get. Your wish will be granted. So then she goes on to say that she in fact would want to have love, or she would want to experience love, which is weird coming from somebody like her, given how she was introduced, right, as this merciless killer. The amount of hype that was hyped up in her introduction. This is very this is like punch in the gut. You weren't expecting this. So like the prime minister was shocked, everybody was shocked, but they said okay, she said that she will give them her list and that she's a picky chooser and all other stuffs, but she has her taste and she will give them her list and they will see what can happen. And we even get to see a hallway scene with her and the Prime Minister walking and they're commenting about it. The Prime Minister basically saying that it's natural to be attracted to the opposite sex, you're of that age and all of that stuff, which I believe was kind of weird. But they were talking about it, and then Prime Minister shifts and said, yes, I know how we could help you with your conquest of Nigeria. And then after that point, we see her order three of her servants, the ones that I described earlier, and they go out and they were actually killing their own officers, but these officers were the one that actually care about the people, the one that's actually try to make things better. They're killing them, basically hitting two birds with one stone, killing them for the reason of, if or when the changeover does happen, these guys will be pivotal for rebuilding the country in that new way, and two, doing it to frame Night Raid so that Night Raid will be provoked to act, so that they will use that as a trap to encounter them, because that's really their whole purpose that's really SD's whole purpose for coming back to the capital, to deal with Night Raid and get rid of Night Raid. So it serves two purposes. So in that case, these guys, that's why they were introduced. We see them slaughter an official, the girl and her father. The girl seemingly had an imperial arms and they were claimed to be strong, so these dudes were made out to be strong. Now we even get to see the Night Raid leader talk about this stuff, about how they are being framed and led into a trap, but they are going into the trap anyways because they can't afford these guys to continue taking out these pivotal leaders that they believe is pivotal for what they're trying to accomplish. So they decide to act, and Balut and Tatsumi went to the same place, while Lubok and Akame went to another place. Now the action follows Balut and Tatsumi, and upon following them we get led to this big enormous ship basically, and they're supposed to protect this dude, this old dude who is surrounded by a lot of people. Tatsumi was watching him, Lubok had on his invisible armor watching him as well, and then all of a sudden while being on the ship, music started playing, and it's actually good sounding music. I even have to admit, it sounds good, but it turns out to be that it's actually an imperial arms, and for that dude playing that music, he would normally incapacitate the listeners of the music somehow. I'm not sure how, but it's an imperial arms where if he plays that music in that way, it will incapacitate you, you will fall asleep, get knocked out, whatever the case may be. Tatsumi just struggles by just to stay awake, while Balut, it turns out that he injured himself in order to stay awake and not succumb to the effects of the music. Now Tatsumi went outside and that big dude with the imperial arms, great axe, showed up, and they were exchanging blows. Balut jumped in there, intervened, saved Tatsumi of sorts. He put on his armor, right, and that dude with the great axe, right, he's a funny character because he comes in there talking about how he wants to kill people so that he can get more experience, right? He's talking about things in like, he's basically showing the situation like how a video game character would experience it, like in Pokemon or one of those other games where you kill monsters to get experience so that you can level up. It's almost the same way for him. He wants to get stronger, level up, so in order it's necessary for him to kill characters, or the more powerful the characters, the more experience he will get. That was weird in my opinion, kind of funny, kind of weird. But he gets taken out ASAP by Balut. One strike, that dude was sliced in half, he was done for, he was dead. The other two dudes that were knocked away were that skinny dude that got knocked to the side. It seemed like he's out for a while, but the dude that was the old dude that was knocked out actually turns out to be this general that Balut was under, that he looked up to, because in this episode there was a revelation somewhat of Balut's past, about how he kind of the inner workings of the Imperial forces and what led him to leave the Imperial forces to join Night Raid. So that was revealed, and this dude was a part of that. It turns out that he is actually the one that Balut is supposed to fight now. So This fight, in my opinion, should be interesting. Balut versus this dude, as we've always seen, as they've said, anytime or is if there's ever a fight between two Imperial Army users, it's certain that someone will die, and we've seen that being through every episode up till now, even in this episode. So I'm definitely excited to see what will happen next episode, and I'm excited to see who will win that fight. Right, Balut, he seems plenty strong. He killed that big strong axe dude who was hyped up, who basically killed 15 people in one slice, and he did all this and did all that. You know, he seemed pretty strong, but Balut killed him in one strike, so that's even more hype for Balut. But overall, I thought it was a great episode of Akame got killed. So that's it. That's my review. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Sayonara.